Hey guys, today we're going to be making a jambalaya. It's got a couple different meats in it. It's going to be really good. I think it's going to take about probably 2 hours-ish to start to finish. So I got our bell pepper cut up over here. I'm going to get this onion cut up. Get my little ends put in my baggie. We're going to be putting 1 pound of pork stew meat, 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. We're going to be using a little over a half a pound of smoked Tasso. If you can't find smoked Tasso where you are, then you can just use smoked sausage. It's just a Cajun smoked ham. So any kind of smoked meat will work, but you do want to have that smoked element for this dish. And then we're also going to have 1 pound of smoked beef sausage. You can use all pork, you can use all beef, it doesn't matter, it's what you like. Usually for Tasso, if I'm buying it from H-E-B, not every H-E-B carries it, but if they do, it's gonna usually be the Savoies, and I do like that. Today we're gonna be using Billy's. This is gonna be the first time I've purchased this. We got it when we were in Lafayette last time, so that's gonna be new for us today. I usually put Tasso in my gumbo as well, so but I haven't made it with that yet. Okay, I have our bell pepper and our onion cut up in here. That is gonna go in first. I've washed my green onions. These are not gonna go in for the cooking process. They're gonna go in at the end. After this, we're gonna get our chicken cut up and we're gonna get that marinating. And we're gonna let that marinate in the seasoning for about 30 minutes. The longer the better. If you have time to do it a few hours in advance, that would be awesome. If not, just let it go as long as you can. We're gonna set these aside for the end. They're gonna go in after we pull the lid off, you'll see. Okay, so now that we've got all of our vegetables cut up, we're gonna cut up our meat. So I have our stew meat here, and it's already cut up from the grocery store. We're gonna go in with our chicken breast. I'm sorry, not chicken breast. We're gonna go in with our chicken thighs. And I have a little over 2 pounds of meat for this chicken. So let me get that cut up. And then we're gonna put our seasoning on. And we're gonna cut this about the same size as the pork came. So you can see the pork is a stew meat cut. We're gonna cut these the same. That way they'll cook down at the same time. So I'm just gonna do in half and then 3 cuts. You can use chicken breast for this if you want, if you like chicken breast better than chicken thighs. Chicken thighs usually have a little more fat. It's gonna bring a little more flavor to your dish. Let me wash my hands and get rid of this cutting board and this knife, and then we'll put our seasonings on. Okay, we have our meat cut up that we're gonna marinate. So the chicken and the pork is the part that we're gonna marinate. And we're gonna go in with an all-purpose Cajun seasoning. You can use Tony's or any other brand. Today I'm using Hilo's Grocery. I'm also going to use some granulated garlic. I'm going to use a good amount of that. We're gonna use some onion powder. The rest of what I had. And then we're gonna use a mild Tabasco. Okay. So now we're just gonna mix with clean hands, and then I'm gonna go back and wash my hands, and I'll show you what else we're gonna cut up to put in here. Okay. So we have our meat seasoned. Again, we used a Cajun all-purpose seasoning, granulated garlic, onion powder that I used the rest of, and then we used some mild Tabasco. And we're gonna let this marinate for a little while, especially because this chicken was very cold when I got it from the grocery store. So it's not 100% thawed. So we're gonna let that rest until the meat at least comes up to temperature, because we're not gonna wanna put cold meat in our hot pan. It's gonna mess up our sear if we do it like that. Now we're gonna cut up our Billy's smoked pork tasso, and then we're also going to cut up, I'm gonna use just the H-E-B natural beef sausage, smoked beef sausage. So we're just gonna get this cut up, and then we're gonna be ready to start. All right, we got everything cut up, so now it's gonna be time to start cooking and get everything browned up and our vegetables cooked down. All right, guys, I got my pot set up. You need a pot with a lid. You can use a Magnolite, you can use a heavy iron pot, you can use anything that has a lid, preferably something with some weight to it will work better. So I have some avocado oil heating up in the pan right now, and you want to use a high heat oil, so something that can tolerate a high heat. We're going to test our oil and see if it's ready to go, and we're about there. We want to have this pot nice and hot so that we can sear off our sausage, and Tasso is going in first. We're not going to move this around too much. We want to let it brown. If you have a problem with your meat getting stuck to the bottom of your pot, leave it alone for a little while. That means it's not done cooking yet, and you need to just leave it. All right, we have our sausage and our tasso pretty much brown. Looks so good. And we are gonna go ahead and pull all of this out. And next we're gonna brown our chicken thighs and our pork stew meat. This is gonna go on in. We want to get that all spread out. And we're going to leave this alone for a little bit so that it can have a chance to start browning up, because this is definitely going to be sticking to the bottom. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start moving this around a little bit. You don't want to do this too often because we want the brown to happen, the browning to happen. You don't want to move this meat around too much because we want it to brown. So just give it a nice stir every now and again and let it start to caramelize and get a crust on the bottom. Okay, so our meat has been browning for about 30 minutes now. You can see it has a nice color on the bottom of the pan. The meat is getting a nice color. I'm gonna give this a little more season before I pull it out. So we're gonna go back in with some more all-purpose, season a little more. Let it cook for just a second, and then I'm gonna pull this out, and we're gonna start on our veggies. So all of this that's on the bottom of the pan right here, you can see, our vegetables are gonna pull all of that up, and it's gonna turn into a nice brown gravy. We have our meat pulled out. Now we're gonna put in our bell pepper and onion. This is one large onion. I usually use a yellow onion. You can use whatever kind you like. And one bell pepper. Okay, and we're gonna turn the heat up to medium. And we're gonna let these vegetables cook down for just a little while and pull all of this off the bottom of the pot. We'll be right back. Okay, our vegetables are about halfway cooked. They're starting to pull this off the bottom of the pan, but we're gonna add just a little bit of water to help it out and let these veggies finish cooking. So you can see all of that is coming up and looking so nice. So we're gonna let this continue to cook until these are all the way cooked down, and then we'll put our meat back in and get our stock put in and then start our roast. Okay, our vegetables have cooked down for about 5 more minutes and they are looking ready to go. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put some Worcestershire in here. Quite a bit. I would say almost a 1/4 cup. And then we're gonna use, I don't have any homemade chicken broth, so we're just gonna use this small box. It's 8 ounces of beef stock. We're gonna put that in. And let that go for just a few minutes. We're gonna bring this was on medium low, and we're gonna put this back to medium high. Because once we get our meat and our broth put in here, we're gonna bring this to a boil. We're gonna give that just a minute to itself, and then we'll put our meat in. Okay, now we're gonna go and we're gonna put all of our meat back in here. This is our pork. 1 pound of ground pork, 1 pound of smoked sausage that's been cut up, about a little over a 1/2 pound of smoked Tasso, and then a little over 2 pounds of chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So let's give this a stir and get this all combined. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come in with 3 cups. I'm using long grain brown rice. You can use white if you want. That's what most people use. We're gonna stir that through. And now we're gonna do 6 cups of chicken stock. Okay, let me get this cooked down and brought up to a boil, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, we've brought everything to a boil. Now we're going to give one last stir, and then we're gonna put our lid on, and we're gonna leave this covered for 15 minutes for white rice. I'm gonna do 20 minutes for brown rice. Brown rice tends to take just a little bit longer to cook, so we're gonna put this lid on, leave it covered. Don't open it, don't peek at it, don't check on it. We're gonna leave that on there, and we're gonna put this on low. And we're gonna come back in 20 minutes and check it out. All right, guys, it's been 20 minutes. So we are gonna go ahead and we've got our burners off. We're gonna pull the lid off and see how it looks. Let's see. Actually, it needs longer. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give this a stir, and we are going to let this back on low. I'm gonna put the lid back on, and we're gonna give this actually another probably 15 minutes. Oop. We have turned our burners off of low, and we're ready to lift the lid off, and it looks super fantastic. I'm gonna give this a stir. And then now we are going to go ahead and add those green onions that we cut up earlier. That's the last touch. And we're ready to eat. I hope y'all enjoyed this recipe.